Good morning. Hopefully everybody's doing well. It's had a good week so far. Today Friday is the light day. I give you light stuff to do. You still have another day to complete your DBQ, so work on that. I might have some recommendations for some people to go back and make some changes on theirs, which we'll talk about in a brief second. Today I'm going to give you just a little something to do, make it really easy. I've linked a couple of videos. First, there's a video that I made about the Progressive Era, and there is a crash course history video on the Progressive Era. For today, I would like you to pick one of those. Tomorrow, or next week, we are going to do a third DBQ, and this is on the Progressive Era. So this hopefully will give you a little bit of a background to get into it, to some of the stuff that was kind of going on during the Progressive Era. I've also created a note sheet that you can take notes, and that's what you're going to submit in Schoology in order to prove that you actually watched that video. So again, just take notes over what you see. I spent a long time creating this note sheet, so please use it. That way we can, just make a copy of it and we can submit it. It'll be good to go. Okay, so that's for today. The other thing I would like to go over is your DBQs yesterday. I had a chance to look at a couple of them, not a bunch, just a few of them. Some quick takes what I had. This one I think is a little more difficult DBQ than the one we did last week. So there is that. I would say I still have some issues with the way you are proving your thesis. The first thing first, when you make a thesis, remember you have to make something that you can defend. A couple of them that I read, I'm like, I don't see a thesis, so I'm not sure how you can defend anything if you don't have anything to defend. You've got to tell us why the United States started to become more involved in world affairs. The question in the prompt is basically telling you the United States did become more involved. So your thesis is basically why. What are the reasons? And you're going to back up your reasons using those documents, using outside sources, that sort of thing. One of the things I want you to emphasize when you do this is I want you to, again, make those connections strong. I will use the example again, and I'm not sure people are watching the videos, the introduction videos. Please do that, especially when they're a little longer, because that means I have something to tell you. And I feel like some people didn't watch the one I did yesterday because it looked like when you wrote the DBQ, the few that I read, that you didn't watch the video and take some of my advice. When you try to provide that evidence, think of yourself like a lawyer. Okay, if you have all of these different facts and you want to prove that Bob is a killer, and you find a dead body and the coroner's like, I think that got ran over by a boat, and you can't say oh, well, there's a dead body and I think Bob potentially could kill somebody, and I know Bob owns a boat, so that must mean he killed somebody. That's what I think a lot of people are kind of doing. They're just dropping these documents down saying, this is what this document said. Okay, why is that important, and why does that prove your argument? Just explaining what the document says doesn't necessarily prove your argument. You got to make that connection. So again, if you're a lawyer, you have to prove that, 1, Bob has a boat, B, Bob was driving the boat in the area that the dead body was found, B, Bob was driving the boat at the time the body was run over, C, the body was run over by a boat and that's why he died, and D, Bob had a motive to run this guy over in his boat. You have to prove all of these things in order to say, hey, Bob's a murderer and here's why. This is the same thing with your DBQ. You got to use all these documents to prove why your argument's the right one. Just saying what they mean is good. You have to say what they mean, but then you got to make that connection of why that meaning is proving your argument. Okay? So there's a couple of things I have done. I have made a video. Somebody asked me to make a video for the documents to explain kind of what they meant, to double check yourself. So that is right there. There is a link to the scoring guidelines, which again is going to give you kind of a written version of what the documents mean, and kind of how to score some points. I gave you a link to an example of some DBQs. AP has linked some 3 examples of DBQs from 2018. The first one they show you is always one that scores all the points. It's very, very good. The middle one is always one that scores some points, probably got college credit, but it didn't score all the points. And then they show you a third one that usually is not super good. that didn't really score any or very, very few points that would not get credit. So they show you kind of a lousy one, a kind of mediocre one, and a stellar one. I recommend maybe reading through that and seeing like, hey, what does a really good one look like? And then if you scroll to the back, they will tell you like, this is why we gave them points for evidence. This is why we gave them points. Just know that this is a different kind of version than we're going to have, because we're doing a modified version, so they changed the scoring a little, but it gives you the gist on how the evidence is scored. So that's a good idea. The other thing, tomorrow I do not have office hours. However, if anybody would like to talk about their DBQ, would like some individualized help, would like some, to go over it, to look at it, and I can give you some concrete, like, yeah, that wouldn't score a point, here's what you need to do to change it, I would be absolutely willing to schedule like Zoom meetings with everybody. Say like, hey, let's get together between noon and 12:15 and we'll go over your DBQ. It might take, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. Again, it's optional for everybody. Feel free to, do it or don't do it. I think it would really help. I encourage everyone to take me up on this. Like, please hit me up. I'm taking time out of my day to do it. Like, I don't have to have office hours, but I'd love to help you. So please. This is something that I'm not, I'm more than happy to do, and I would like to get everybody on the right page. I think it's so much easier to give you instruction when I can see what you did and I can tell you like, hey, this is how I would change it. So yeah, just shoot me an email and say like, yeah, I'd like to do a Zoom. I'll be hanging around all day, at least, like 9 to 5-ish, and we can kind of schedule like, hey, let's, 10 to 10:15 or 11 to 11, whatever, however long you think you need, we'll make it happen. Okay. Feel free to shoot me those emails, and we will kind of make this happen. Like I said, next week we'll do a third DBQ, so get started on those videos, submit that note sheet today, that's your assignment, and then the AP exam is May 15th. It's Friday, May 15th, so 2 weeks from today. Again, we're getting there, so don't worry, we're getting there. One last thing to leave you with. Like I mentioned yesterday in the video, please, we need to change our mindsets. I feel like, please don't take away with, wow, he thinks all our DBQs are terrible. I'm trying to make everybody's perfect. That's a losing battle. And you do not have to be perfect to get college credit. You've got to be what we normally think of as like a failing grade. That's going to probably get you college credit. Like a 50 or a 60 will be probably okay to get college credit, and maybe even like a 4 or a 5. So, you don't have to crush this in the traditional sense. I'm trying to get you there, so it's like, yeah, I want everybody to score all the points, and that's probably unrealistic. I shouldn't say it's probably. It is unrealistic. So don't come away with this like he thinks we're all terrible. I'm trying to be as constructive as humanly possible, but you're not going to score all the points on the DBQ, nor do I expect you to, but we're pushing to score as many as we can. So that's why I'd like to be a little critical and, push for perfection, even if we'll probably fall short, which is okay. All right, if you have any questions, please hit me up. Like I said, please take advantage of the Zoom offer. It will expire in June, so please hit me up for that. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I will talk to everybody either today or next week. So have a good one. Enjoy.